And you mentioned corporations. So, going on to, well, actually, we'll get to corporations in the next slide, but global affairs. So there's pressure growing now on Muslim countries as well to become, quote unquote, LGBT affirming. And so you can see here earlier this month, in June, Pride Month, the U.S. Embassy accounts in Muslim countries tweeted in support of Pride Month. And you can see here an example, the U.S. Embassy in Kuwait: all human beings should be treated with respect and dignity and should be able to live without fear, no matter who they are or whom they love. POTUS, the President of the United States, is a champion for the human rights of LGBTQI persons. Pride 2022, you are included.
And so I was just wondering, is POTUS also campaigning for the rights of Muslim men of polygamous marriage? I presume he's not, as it's illegal in the United States. I don't recall him campaigning for Muslim rights to have Quranically sanctioned marriages. But anyway, that's just my
right, exactly. And we'll come to the, also we can look at the language here, right? All human beings should be treated with respect and dignity. And we would agree with that as Muslims, right? We agree with treating people with respect and dignity. The idea is that how is this understood? What do respect and dignity consist of? And we're going to realize that a big part of the challenge that Muslims face on this issue today is the kind of appropriation of language, very emotively resonant language like respect and dignity, and giving very specific definitions and meanings to those terms.
It's loaded. It's loaded language. It's not neutral language, exactly. Descriptive, objective. It's heavily loaded with an ideology. And so it is meant to kind of force you to express that ideology in the very words that's used.
Right. And the implication here, of course, is that if you're not fully on board with, homosexual behavior, relationships, family structures, and so forth, then you actually lack respect for people's dignity, right? That's a pretty serious moral charge, right? That's not a neutral thing to say, oh, you don't respect people's dignity, right? That's a very loaded kind of moral charge. And this is what Muslims and other kind of more traditional religious believers are facing now. And so we need to understand where this comes from and also how we can best conceptualize and respond to this. And so this, movement is also now, in some respects, has become a tool of demonization and even oppression. So AIPAC, the American Israeli Public Affairs Council, posted a tweet reading, "Do you support LGBTQ plus rights? Hamas doesn't. Hamas discriminates against lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and intersex people." So the subtext here is that look at those evil, people over there who are not pro-LGBTQ, meaning they are not really part of modern civilized society, and therefore Western public should not support them or be sympathetic to their own struggles and their own plights, right, and their own oppression, because after all, they're not pro-LGBT. Right?
But the irony here, of course, AIPAC representing Israelis or Jews, the Jewish faith itself, the Jewish Bible, of course, would no way support any of these behaviors. Cross-dressing is prohibited, sodomy is prohibited in Leviticus. So the irony is that this is completely contrary to the very Jewish faith that many of their supporters, being Jews, would presumably support. So there's something very, very odd going on there, that a Jewish organization should advocate completely contrary to the Jewish faith.
Right. And, again, we'll see reasons behind that, but you're right that it would seem on the surface to be rather incongruous. Also, certain imams have been banned from entering particular European countries on account of LGBT critical teachings and preaching, right? So if you say that the religion doesn't allow, for example, same-sex relationships or behavior, this is considered hate speech for many people, and so imams have been banned, from speaking in this way.